Found out wife cheated on me 6 years ago, and daughter may not be mine. To understand the backstory, I have to start at the beginning. About 6 years ago, my wife and I were having a rocky time in our relationship. We had no kids and we were living together, but struggled to get out of the rut. We had been together for 6 years, married 2 of them. Well, she started having an affair with a guy we work with, albeit her more often as they worked in the same department. Well, I had a feeling something was up, but I ignored those feelings. While using her phone to locate mine, a text came across that forced me to investigate. They were lewd pictures from and to the guy from work. The guy in question had already been transferred to another location for work at this time, but I confronted my wife and, long story short, I forgave her through many painful, expensive hours at a couples therapist. Shortly thereafter, everything was great. Our relationship hit a level that far exceeded anywhere it was before. And dare I say we were truly happy. 2 pink lines later, we were having a baby. Doing the math from the due date, I deduced that her conception was approximately 2/3 weeks after you left. I still confronted her about it, and she swore up and down that while they cheated emotionally, nothing ever manifested in the physical. I didn't truly believe her, but I wanted to. Shortly after the birth of my daughter, I asked her again as I wanted to be sure, and she vehemently denied having sex with him. I wanted to get the paternity test, but she was 6 months old and I didn't know how I would handle it if she wasn't, so I decided to drop it. 5 years later, when we were drinking one night, she let some information slip that was contrary to what she told me. But through prying, I got her to admit that not only did she sleep with that guy, she did it multiple times and didn't use condoms every encounter. Here we are 3 kids later, and I find out my oldest may not be mine. I can tell when she is lying, so when asked about the other 2, I'm sure they are mine. I'm over the cheating that happened 6 years ago, because deep down I knew it happened, so the confirmation doesn't upset me. But what do I do with the new information? In a huff, I ordered a paternity test, but I don't know if I want to do it. I love my daughter and no biological marker could change that, but I don't know how to handle the unknown. I mean, if I go through with the paternity test and she is mine, I would have a weight lifted off my chest, but what if she isn't? Is the not knowing going to help me cope, or would the definitive answer be the best way? I would appreciate any advice I could get. Story 2. Was I 31M, being unreasonable for not accepting repayment and a day trip after she 39F? Canceled last minute. We have been seeing each other for just over a month and had planned our first trip together, an overnight trip. Her idea, actually. We figured out the location and I booked a hotel room. Then the night of the trip comes and she texts me saying she needs to do some things and she will get to my house a bit late. I was to drive us there, and if that is okay, or if I still want to do the trip. I say it's okay, and that I still want to do the trip. Shortly after, she texts me again, says she is not feeling up to it today. I say I think she isn't being totally honest with me. She then admits that she is not comfortable with going through on this trip. She is a virgin, and I had every intention of respecting her wish to keep it so. And she is stressed from the bad week at work. This is true, etc. I was upset. Took me half an hour to respond after some frustrated pacing around. She offered to repay me for the hotel room and do a day trip to our destination instead on the next day. It is within 90 minutes, but I said I did not want that. I wish I could have explained, but driving and sitting in a car isn't all that fun, and having it all in one day, without the cuddle time we planned and talked about, felt like a waste, and I'd rather do something here in town together instead. I don't want her to need the money, I just want to have more time with her, and she could repay over time with meals anyway. I don't need direct. I do feel like I expressed still wanting to see her though. Anyway, Saturday she said she needed space to think about things. Also that she sensed my anger and it scared her a bit. I'm not sure how she did, except for my late reply and when I said I didn't think she was being totally honest at first. We have texted just a tiny bit, but since we exchanged good mornings today, she has been dead silent. I reached out to say I hope she's doing all right, once. Somewhere, I'd like to consider if I was in the wrong TLDR. She canceled last minute and offered to repay me for the hotel and do a day trip together, but I refused. She has gone silent on me. Was I wrong? Story 3. My 19F, boyfriend's 21M. Passive aggressiveness, finances, and lack of communication is killing our relationship. Don't know what to do. I moved in with my boyfriend of almost a year about 3 months ago. I knew moving in so soon could end poorly, but we both were looking for an apartment and figured we might as well move in together. I had been living at my parents', and so had he until his parents divorced and needed to sell his chopped-up house. At first things were fine. We found somewhere that was nice, worked for both of us. I did end up buying most of the stuff for the place, which was 100% my choice. I had the most savings since I started saving to move for a while. We moved in and things were goodish. I sort of ended up doing all the cooking, cleaning, etc. Unless I asked him to. He never takes initiative to do chores or cook unless I ask, which gets worrying to constantly need to think of what both he and I need to do. Then last month, we got our full set of bills plus rent. He only ended up having enough to cover 1/3 of rent, and I had to pay everything else. I tried talking to him about it, but whenever we have an argument/conversation about anything relationship-wise, he just shuts down. I've never even raised my voice or been angry really. I just want a constructive conversation where we can actually resolve something. I sat him down and we did a monthly budget. Despite making more than me, he ends up with less money than I do due to other things he owes in gas. His car gets like 12 mpg, being an older, lifted Jeep. After that, financially, it was okay. At the same time, I found out that on several occasions he had been telling and joking with his friends that I hadn't been putting out. I've been exhausted with everything financially, work-wise, and have been having a lot of medical stuff done, so it's true, I haven't really, and I feel about it, but I just have no drive to anymore. I talked to him the first time I found out, and he just didn't say anything except, "You're right, I won't again," and yet he still did a few times after, even in front of me. He also embarrasses me a lot in front of family, joking about the stuff I don't do well or do wrong. And it's not just one. That's pretty much the only things he'll talk about me. We went to dinner with his dad, sister, and her BF, and he was joking about how I don't make big enough meals, sorry I can't spend dollar on groceries, and that he's lost 10 pounds. That made me just feel like because it was my first time meeting his sister. I talked to him about it, and all he said was, "I just thought it was entertaining, but alright, I won't do it again." This morning, I kind of reached my tipping point. I was going to go get groceries and asked if he could pay. He said he could give me $100, which wasn't enough, and then asked, "Did you get paid last week?" I get paid every week, which I said to him, "Why wouldn't I?" And he said he was just wondering. It was so much to say, "Why can't you pay this week?" But he never asks anything straightforward, just in passive-aggressive ways. In his defense, his mom is a textbook narcissist, and he does have some trauma and learned behaviors from that, but I still feel it doesn't warrant treating me like that after everything I've done. I came home and asked if he had meant why couldn't I pay groceries this week, when he said that, and he eventually said yes. We proceeded to have the same convo as always, that he can tell me things straightforward, and that I can't deal with the passive-aggressiveness or the shutting down, and we need to actually work through things and so on. He just said, right, went to the bedroom, and has given me silent treatment. So again, nothing came from that talk. I don't know what to do, or if I can do anything. Quite honestly, unless things change dramatically, I can't do it anymore. I love him, but this has been almost the most stressful and miserable time of my life. I don't know if there's something I can do to help him stop shutting down and actually have a conversation with me. I don't know if that would even change anything. I can always go home to my parents, but like an idiot, I signed the year lease and would still need to pay half rent, plus what I'd do with all the stuff I bought for the apartment. He financially can't move out by himself, and I can't resign the lease myself or move elsewhere, as I have basically no credit yet. So if we broke up, we'd still live together somewhat. Even then, though, I don't know if it's not something to break up over. Maybe I should stick in longer, or maybe there's something I can do. Or maybe I'm the issue here, which is why I'm posting here. TLDR. Moved in with boyfriend a few months ago. I've had to pick up most of the house chores. His slack financially, as he hadn't maintained the things he promised to pay. And when I try to talk about anything relationship-wise with him, he won't give any input and just says I'm right, but does the same thing again and becomes passively upset with me. I don't know if I should end it now or stick it out or whatever. There's something else I can do. If we did split, we'd need to still live together. For the foreseeable 9 months probably, or I'd live at my parents', pay half rent, and keep everything I bought for the place at it with him. But I still don't know if maybe there's something I can do.